everyone. My name is Evie Lupine. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. And today I want to talk about how to take your scenes to the next level. And no, I am not just talking about how to play for longer, harder, or how to get more bruises. I want to discuss how you can naturally add depth and complexity to your play, making your scenes more fulfilling on both sides of the slash. So let's get into it. And first of all, I want to address where I think people can go wrong. This video actually isn't just for advanced players, it's for anyone with any level of experience, because it's a pretty common question on my channel for people to ask something like, okay, but like, how do I do a scene? How do I know when it's over? Or how do I get a scene started? And a basic scene is something like this. You have a negotiation ahead of time to specify what you're doing and when and where it's happening. You show up at the agreed upon location and place. You have a short little check-in chat. Then you get undressed, hop on whatever piece of furniture you're using, and you get into it. You usually do a little warm-up, especially if you're doing impact play. You slowly increase the intensity, reach whatever goal you wanted to reach, and then come back down. Then you tell the person they did a good job, and you get into aftercare mode. The vast majority of scenes that you will see in public dungeons will follow a similar path to this, and it works pretty well. Especially for pickup play, when you don't know the person and you just want a simple, surefire path to follow without having to think too hard about it. And some people always approach their play this way, and there's nothing wrong with that. Especially when you're first getting started, the act of doing BDSM at all is so overwhelming that you probably wouldn't notice the fancy details anyhow. The excitement of finally getting to tie someone up or finally be spanked is so intoxicating, you're likely to go, oh wait, I forgot we had music on, and has that light always been over there? At the end of it, because you just get so lost in the moment. Trying to get super complicated with details immediately usually isn't worth it because they're less likely to be noticed, and you probably don't know how to weave them in naturally yet. It's like if the first time you made a cake, you decided to make a 3-tier cake with hand-piped flowers dripping down the side. It might work out if you have natural talent, but you probably could have also just made a sheet cake, and maybe you could have focused on honing in the cake flavor instead of spending so much time trying to figure out how to get the piping tips to work correctly. It's about knowing where to put your energy, and when you're first starting out, really nailing the basics. Negotiation, scene flow, verbal and nonverbal communication, and aftercare will pay more dividends than trying to work out the best way to incorporate expensive costuming. So just in case you were one of those people who thought scenes always have to be these big productions with complex roleplay, unique outfits, and a customized music playlist, that is not it at all. Sometimes yes, but not by default. Doing something simple to start is fine and probably the smarter choice ultimately, but having a vision in your head of where to go next as you gain confidence and refine your skills isn't a bad idea either. So eventually, for many people, there gets to be a point where the novelty wears off. Being told you're a good girl just doesn't hit the same way anymore. Or maybe doing the same shibari sequence again, as always, doesn't get you excited like it used to. And what people usually do in this scenario is they try to go harder. They follow roughly the same formula, the same script, and just add more. Maybe now they aim to play for longer to get the same kind of bruises they used to get at the beginning before their skin got conditioned. Perhaps they get a meaner wooden paddle to replace the nicer, softer leather one they had before. Maybe they skip the warm-up entirely and go right into doing impact play on cold skin. Or they make the emotional sadomasochism more intense. Oftentimes, people also expand on the types of kinks that are on the table as well, trying new things to get back to that oh wow state they had at the very beginning. Maybe whips were a heck no before, and now they're more of a maybe, that could be fun. I want to be clear though, I am not trying to make a slippery slope argument for kink where everyone needs to always have progressively more and more challenging and complicated scenes in order to feel satisfied and happy. I think this is more like the process of water finding its level. When you're new to kink, you obviously can't do every possible type of scene all at once because you don't even know what they all are yet. And it's only when you gain some familiarity with kink that you understand what level of play you find most enjoyable. Some people overestimate it to start, the whole do whatever you want to me, mistress types, and other people underestimate it because BDSM is this big, bad, scary, unknown thing. But eventually, people figure out where they are most comfortable. But in that process, they tend to focus on just doing harder and more intense, more bruises, more pain, things that look more impressive if you happen to be playing in public. To continue with my cake analogy, they're experimenting with the base flavor, but they're still just making a sheet cake with no frosting. Maybe they've got the chocolate and vanilla recipes down pat, so now they've moved on to peanut butter or coffee or strawberry. But at the end of the day, no matter how you gussy up that flavor, it is still just one note, and they're probably following somebody else's directions. And when you get to that point, it's time to start learning those layering and piping skills. This is why simply doing more of the same with the intensity turned up doesn't usually create long-term satisfaction for most people alone. You may have found your favorite flavor of cake, but at the end of the day, a plain slice alone is still just a plain slice. And if you only ever have that for dessert every single day of the week, it's likely to get stale. So what can you do instead that's not just about turning your butt as purple as humanly possible? What's the scene equivalent of frosting and cake soaks and ganache? It's what I would call scene foreplay. Through the time that you've been doing this more stripped back, follow the recipe type of scenes, you've been gaining a lot of skills. You know yourself better, your body language, your partner's body language, your preferences, their preferences. You know a lot more about your turn-ons and turn-offs than you used to, most likely. So don't let that knowledge go to waste. You can use that knowledge to build out your scenes so your scene isn't just starting the moment you get on that massage table. This is one of those situations in which vanilla sexuality education can be a pretty helpful resource for how to approach the issue. You know how it's standard procedure to preach foreplay, foreplay, foreplay whenever anyone says they're having a hard time getting in the mood or don't have the same desire for their partner they used to. Same difference with kink. But it's also the same in that people misunderstand what exactly is meant by foreplay. Vanilla foreplay isn't just about remembering to pause for 2 minutes and warm up someone before you jam a meat stick inside of them. And kink foreplay isn't just about giving someone a few extra love taps before you go to town on them with your baseball bat or flogger. Good foreplay, vanilla or not, is about engaging the brain ahead of time, not just the body. And you can stretch that out to hours or days, even weeks ahead of your scene if you plan things well enough. And if you do it right, it not only communicates to your partner, hey, you're hot, but I see you, I understand what motivates you, and I know your kinks inside and out. And I think that is way, way better. Because, say it with me, people, the key to kink is mutual vulnerability. Engaging in this kind of mental foreplay is a way of not only extending your own vulnerability, but it also signals that you also value your partner's vulnerability. And if you don't take away anything else from this video, please take that. It will serve you very well. But how do you do that? What does that look like? And I think the best thing I can do is give an example. So let's say you have a regular date night on Wednesdays with your partner, and every Wednesday you do a scene together or at least do something kink adjacent to make sure that part of your relationship is always being tended to. Good idea, by the way. One way to approach that might be to send a text on Tuesday night saying, hey, you up for a flogging tomorrow? And they say, yes, and leave it at that. That is fine. That is perfectly acceptable. Sometimes it's okay to keep things low-key. I'm not taking an issue with that. But if you wanted to take this to the next level, you could go all the way back to Saturday or Sunday night. And maybe you know that your partner loves to dress up pretty for you and do her makeup and has a bit of a praise kink on top of it. So you tell her, show me 3 different outfits you'd like to wear for our scene this week. I'll pick one and I'll have something special for you to add to it when you get here. And oh, now you've created a little bit of intrigue, some mystery. Will the outfits be part of the scene? Will the type of outfit somehow determine what sort of play you do? What's this special thing that's going to be added to it? Is it a gift? Ooh, interesting. Now you're both mentally engaging in the scene when it's still days away. And then when she sends you the outfits and you pick one, do a little verbal praise and reward her for following through on it. Then maybe you send a little tease of what the special item is, like a super zoomed in photo or a really pixelized image or a riddle or something. What could it be? Then you add, I'd like you to wear makeup that matches with the outfit that I picked. Here's $20 to go to Ulta and get a little something to add to it because you were so obedient. Send me a picture of what you buy with it. Please wear a red lip and put your hair up. More intrigue, more mental energy. And you'll notice this too, and this is key. It's not just about the S-type doing something for the D-type. The D-type is also actively engaged with and creating this experience alongside their S-type. They're giving their S-type attention, not just taking their foot off the gas and saying, I don't know, wear something pretty, doll. The praise, the instructions, the teasing, the rewards, all of that is feeding into the future scene energy. It's adding to your foreplay piggy bank. So by the time the scene actually happens, you're both really present. She's excited about showing off her new look, curious about what that surprise is, and you're excited to see how obedient she's been, how engaged she's been, and what she will think of what you have planned now that the time has arrived. And before the scene starts, that's when you reveal the surprise. Maybe it's a cute little butt plug or a pair of nipple clamps or a new pair of kitten ears or something your partner has expressed enthusiasm about trying, but you haven't gotten around to it yet. Maybe you wrap it up in a cute little box and have her try to open it using only her mouth with her hands bound to her sides or behind her back while kneeling in front of you. Again, all of this is saying, I see you. I remember what's important to you. I'm excited to do more with you. I am here in this moment, in this relationship. And then from there, you can do all of your usual scene elements you might otherwise do, but they're supercharged because you've been spending the whole week building up anticipation and thinking about it, not leaving it up to the 30-minute drive over on Wednesday night to come up with what you feel like doing that week. And I'm sure to a lot of people this sounds like old hat. Like, of course, why wouldn't you do that kind of foreplay? But trust me, some people just do not think about this, especially in a long-term relationship. People fall into ruts and they just do what works even when it isn't the most engaging or satisfying. Now, I want to break down the components in that example as well as some additional ones so you can come up with infinite variations that fit the flavor of scenes you like to create and the type of dynamic you prefer with your partners. One is a bid for obedience. Obviously, not everyone does that kind of play, but if you do anything even vaguely DS flavored or even brat flavored, this is a good tool to use. Give your partner a little something to do for you that contributes to the scene that relates to their interests and yours. That's very important. And if they don't otherwise want to be involved in the scene creation process, this is a good way to give them a little bit of power, so to speak. This could be selecting cute outfits or makeup choices, making them write a list of their desires out on paper for you to select from, or researching something for you that you can use in the scene. For the service-oriented, this is a great way to keep them engaged with the experience in a way that you might not have tried before. Another thing you can try adding is an element of mystery. This could be a surprise, like a new piece of clothing or some kind of gift, all the way over to misdirection and mindfuckery, if you happen to be a sadist, which a lot of you are. Shocking. Like, perhaps you know that your partner knows that tentacles are a hard limit for you, but they keep leaving hints in their text messages or on their computer that you can easily see, or packages they get or memes they send you, and that makes you think they may be planning to use something pretty tentacly during your next scene. If you like surprises and or that particular flavor of emotional sadomasochism, this works out really well. A third option is rewards and reinforcement. This is one of the ones that works well both ways because S-types and bottoms can also reward their D-types. This could be as simple as directly saying, hey, I notice all the effort you're putting into making this scene happen. That really means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Or you can do something more roleplay flavored, like your pet is so happy you're giving her so much attention, or thank you for being so eager to please me, little one. If you want to see more of a behavior you like in a relationship, the best way to make sure that happens is to reinforce it as much as possible. So do not skimp on the praise, whether it be verbal, physical, or otherwise. Expressing excitement is another reinforcement tool that also builds anticipation for the scene to come. This might look like sending naughty pictures and then adding a caption that says, "I can't stop thinking about what we might do together this weekend," or telling your partner, "I had a dream about you last night and now I have so many more ideas of what I want to do to you." If you're excited, your partner is also likely to get excited too. We feed off other people's energy that way, and if your partner can't match your enthusiasm, that's a flag that you should pause and check in before you keep going in the direction that you're going. Novelty is another important tool, especially if you have things you've both expressed you wanted to try and you just haven't gotten around to it yet. So here is your push. Stop putting those ideas on a shelf. You say you want to try an insertable ball gag? Get that gag and incorporate it into your next scene, but make it special. Find ways to emphasize that this is a new step in the depth of your relationship, because playing with a new to you toy or kink is a step in your relationship, as mundane as it might seem. Make them guess what it is. Give them a treasure hunt or an Easter egg hunt. Wrap it up in pretty packaging. Make the novelty part of the experience, not just another, "Oh, well, I guess we haven't tried that yet, so we should probably get around to it" kind of thing. When you see the opportunity to make something special, no matter how small, use it. Now, I want to talk about a few things that I didn't fit into the example I just gave. I often like to say that the dominant should take full advantage of all the tools and resources in front of them. This includes the submissive's brain power. One great way to do this that contributes to the foreplay piggy bank is brainstorming and fantasizing together. Intellectual conversations are a huge turn on for a lot of people, and a kinky intellectual conversation is even better. Give your partner space to explain to you in detail what exactly they're into and why. Share your own experiences. Talk about where you'd like to go in the future, what you'd like to feel, and where your interests came from. Take turns discussing what exactly you like about playing with the other person and what makes them special to you. This not only gives you new material to work with in the future, it compounds that feeling of being seen, understood, and desired. The last element I would suggest, which I will talk about whenever I am given the opportunity, is regulating your nervous systems together before you play. This is a more immediately before the scene element, but it still can do so much for you. If you're only verbally checking in, but not checking in with your bodies, you might miss a lot of important information. So take some time, sit together on the floor if you can, or in whatever way feels comfortable, and share your breath. Take a few turns breathing together, feeling your pulses, intentionally slowing down, and seeing how your bodies feel in that moment, and pay attention to what feelings come up. This will also do a lot to get you out of that rat race mode your brain may have come into the space with. So if you find yourself getting distracted during play and have trouble turning off everyday life mode, this is a must. It can make such a big difference, even though it's a very small thing. And these are just the things that you can do before the scene even starts. While this isn't really the focus of what I wanted to talk about today, I want to also note that you can build complexity inside the scene itself that is not just something that gets reduced down to like more bruises, play harder. This is something that Midori talks about a lot and is one of the reasons I always recommend taking your classes if you have the opportunity. This is where we stop following other people's recipes for our scenes. Remember that typical scene flow I talked about before, the whole get on a piece of furniture, stay on it, hit someone, then get off kind of thing? Well, you don't have to follow that at all. Stop standing in one place in front of a cross. Do more than just sit and flog someone for 30 to 40 minutes. Get up, move around, make it into a dance. This doesn't have to be in a bratty, escape artist, take down and capture primal play kind of thing, although it can be that if you want it to be. It can also be like a romantic tango or a playful game of tag. And I mean that both literally and metaphorically. Just by expanding the dimensions the scene can exist within, it will no longer be as stagnant, and you have inherently amplified the complexity you can play with as a result. This is also the time to bring in those more involved roleplay elements too. That doesn't mean like flashy outfits or accents unless you want to have those things, but it informs the energy you play with. Really sit with what it would mean to be someone's jailer or babysitter or playground bully or interrogator in the context that you're going to be playing in. How does that change the way you act or speak? How do you bring that out in yourself, and how does it modify the goals you may have for the scene? Doing this well requires a level of energy reading that usually has to be built up over time, but learning how to navigate the ebb and flow of your partner's body, emotions, and actions can make a scene so much deeper. Teaching you all how to do this is a little bit outside the scope of this video, but if this perks your interest, I highly recommend looking up classes about nonverbal communication and advanced role play, even primal play too, potentially. And finally, there's getting in touch with your deepest, truest reasons for play. Like, yes, kink is fun and it feels nice, but is it really? Is it really just that? For some people, maybe. For others, even if their motivations are otherwise like pretty typical, like wanting to have a break from everyday life stress, there's often still more going on under the surface. Maybe they believe that they have to self-sacrifice in order to be worthy of love. Maybe they need to control others to avoid being hurt themselves. Maybe they feel like they can't handle life on their own and they have to have someone directing them to be able to cope. Or maybe they're just scared of being alone. Incorporating those into a scene goes way, way beyond just, I want to feel afraid, and touches on one of the deepest levels of emotional vulnerability you can get to in BDSM. And I'm not saying you need to go all the way out there and have a full-on catharsis experience, but adding nods in that direction can go a long way towards making a scene unique and memorable for both of you. And on that note, that's what I wanted to share today about adding depth and complexity to your BDSM scenes. I will have some additional resources linked down below on other videos that I've done where I've talked about other things like punishment alternatives and bruises and taking your masochism to the next level, because I know a lot of people are probably on this video to kind of get that sort of information, even though today I very much wanted to steer around that because I think people, for some reason, tend to over-focus on that, and I wanted to have a little bit of a different perspective here today. So again, that's everything I wanted to share. I would love to hear your thoughts and feelings in a comment down below, especially if you all are in like a long-term BDSM relationship or you were at some point. What did you do or change as you developed that relationship to do more with your scenes? How did you add depth and complexity? Did I miss out on anything really important? Did this give you some new ideas? Leave your thoughts and feelings in a comment down below. If you did enjoy this and already, please do subscribe, because I make videos twice a week about all different kink and BDSM related topics. And finally, if you really want to support what I do, the best way you can do is a Patreon. A link to that will be down below. If you do already support me there, thank you so much. It means the absolute world to me. And until I see you all next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.